Are you always on the lookout for the best loan interest rates? Tired of hopping from one website to another, trying to make sense of endless financial jargon? Stop the stress and start simplifying your mortgage journey today. By downloading the johannedaniel.ca app, you gain immediate access to the latest interest rates, easy-to-use mortgage calculators, and personalized advice tailored just for you. All the information you need is at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Why wait to make informed decisions about your home buying journey? Visit my website at johannedaniel.ca. On the top right, you will find my contact details and links to download my app. johannedaniel.ca is mortgage simplified.
Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Johan Daniel. I trade in mortgages as an agent first level. It is possible you may be. Why me out of all? Well, I got over 300 lenders eagerly waiting overall. Either you want a house, a mansion, or a mall. To concretize your dream, all you need is a call. 299-6707 in the 613. Your key to move on and don't stall. Having an asset is instrumental, and once you sell it, your profit will be exponential. Mirror, mirror, who's the greatest of them all? I'm Mr. Sandman, someone to hold. As you still pitchy, don't wait to be too old now. Go to my website and get your pre-approval.
Get your mortgage pre-approval now. Secure your future together. Apply for a mortgage pre-approval today.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Johan Daniel. I am your host, and thanks for tuning in on Mortgage X today with johannedaniel.ca. Without any further ado, we have very interesting topics: lending solutions for newcomers in Canada. Just in Ontario only, there's about 200,000 immigrants coming every year. And in Canada, in the entire Canada, it's about 400,000 people coming in on a regular basis. With that being said, the Canadian government has set up many different programs for newcomers immigrating here in Canada. Today, we're gonna see three of them: the CMHC program, the B-Lending guidelines, and the MIC guidelines. The CMHC programs, newcomer programs. CMHC, for those who don't know, stands for Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. B-Lending or B-Lenders, it's often subprime lenders. So anything that is not chartered banks, it's not regulated federally, therefore they're more lenient to borrowers. And the MIC, so Mortgage Investment Corporations. These are investors who pull money together to lend borrowers as private mortgages. First thing first, we're going to see the status of eligibility. To be eligible to such programs, first you need to be either a permanent resident, and you must have a minimum of a 600 credit score. On the flip side, CMHC may consider alternative methods to measure your credit score. In case if an international credit check is not available, they have alternative methods that they can use to evaluate your credit worthiness. In other words, they might ask you for a confirmation of your of payment of your rent, utilities, cable, childcare for the past 12 months. Now, you could be also a non-resident of Canada, a non-permanent resident, sorry. In other words, you must have a working permit. Okay. You still have to have a status here, regardless if you are a permanent resident, regardless if you land here in Canada, you must have a status here, period. So for someone who comes from the United States, or United States being a country of origin, in the absence of insufficient credit report from a Canadian credit report agency, CMHC will obtain an international credit check, an international credit report for you, right? And for any other countries where credit worthiness cannot be verified, and neither through an international credit record. So we as a mortgage professional should ask or must ask the borrower to provide a letter of reference from their financial institution from their country of origin. Now, we're gonna go through the eligibility requirements, owner-occupied loan to value. Okay. First, for a permanent resident, 1 to 2 units, they will be able to obtain something like 95% of loan to value if you're looking to buy a 1 to 2 units. Now, for 3 to 4 units, they can obtain up to 90% of loan to value. The minimum down payment on the 1 to 2 units, it's 5% of the $500,000 and 10% of the remainder if it exceeds $500,000. If the cost of the house exceeds $500,000. On 3 to 4 units, it's 10%. The maximum purchase price is up to $1 million. The amortization is 25 years. The source of the down payment, it must be coming from savings, your savings, the sale of a property, or a non-repayable gift from your relative. In terms of debt service guidelines, so the standard is 35% to 42%, to a maximum of 39%, 44%, so 39%, sorry. So the standard is 35% GDS and 42% TDS. And the maximum is 39% GDS to 44% TDS. And a minimum beacon score of 680. With that being said, CMHC will consider the strength of the overall application, including recommended minimum credit scores. So that person will be also subject to a stress test or stress test, where so the GDS TDS ratios must be calculated using the contract rate, whatever contract rate you'll obtain, 5%, 4%, whatever, plus 2%. Now, the B lender status, the B lender requirements. Let's see the B lender requirements. Very important for you to know. Policies, rates, and fees will vary from a lender to the next. However, the outlines that we will see are simply general guidelines. So before we start, one thing is very important for you to understand also is that along with your completed application, you would also need to supply the following information: your country of origin, and your country of origin. By the way, they want to establish if this country is part of those countries that are sanctioned due to fraud or money laundering and stuff. Previous employment, any other source of income, confirmation that they have applied for residency if you haven't. And they might also ask you to get a bank referral or supply confirmation of ongoing payment of utility bills. Plus, they will ask you also for your social identification number. Again, we'll go through the status of eligibility, which is you must have the permanent residence, you must have or a working visa. If you don't have neither or, you must provide a confirmation of application for residency. Credit requirements for the B lenders, there's no vacant score requirements. The loan to value can go to a maximum 65 to 80%. The minimum down payment is 20%. Meeting employment criteria, that means if you work, it's 20%. And 25%, no income ask. The PIT holdback, in other words, they will also ask you for 12 months of explanation of payment strategy. Maximum purchase price, there's no general rule. It can be 1 million, 1.2, 2 million, 4 or 5. Sky's the limit. The maximum amortization is 30 years. The source of a down payment, it must be confirmable via copy of bank statements from country of origin. If the deposit is been in Canada for less than 12 months, then they will also ask you for your bank history or statements of the bank statements. Any history you can provide to that effect. And the GDS TDS can reach up to 60%. The interest rate is normally around 4.9 to 5.9. And the rates may vary for no incomes. It's a case-to-case risk assessment situation at this point. And also in the case of the B lenders, there's going to be service fees such as 1 to 2% depending on open or closed product. Lastly, we will see the Mortgage Investment Corporation's eligibility guidelines. So rates and fees will vary from one lender to the next. The status of eligibility for the Mortgage Investment Corporation goes as follows. So same thing, resident, permanent residence, permanent resident, non-permanent resident status, so work permit, whatnot. You must provide your 9-digit social identification number, SIN number. If you don't have any of those status yet, you must confirm of an application you must provide a confirmation of application for residency or lending status. And depending on some lenders, they might not ask you any of that. Credit requirement, you must have at least, although it's specific to each vendors, but you must have at least 500 credit score, a minimum of 500 credit score. Loan to value, it can go up to 65% generally. However, they may consider up to 75 to 80% depending on the MIC lender. So the minimum down payment is usually 20% depending on the MIC. Most require the client to come into a purchase transaction with a minimum of 10% of their source down payment, while the balance can come from gifted sources or sellable property. The maximum purchase price is goes from 1 to 5 millions on average. The maximum amortization is 35 to 40 years. And income-wise, they will consider foreign income. And of course, if you're working in Canada, they will definitely consider that. Or otherwise, some may just consider a straight equity deal, which means they will take part of your ownership. Source of down payment. Now, so most MICs will be satisfied with your funds being in an established Canadian bank. Depending on the MIC, most are satisfied with your funds being in an established Canadian bank with proof of account and with clearly stated proof of account ownership. You can either provide the bank statements, a screenshot of your balance. Most MICs don't require a 90-day history of sourcing of funds if the funds are already in a Canadian bank. and the interest rate is usually around 4.99 to 5.99%. Again, rates for no income confirmation can vary. It's a case-to-case risk assessment. Also, there's a servicing fee, and that kind of concludes our show today. Thank you once again for tuning in. Cheers.
Are you always on the lookout for the best loan interest rates? Tired of hopping from one website to another, trying to make sense of endless financial jargon? Stop the stress and start simplifying your mortgage journey today. By downloading the johannedaniel.ca app, you gain immediate access to the latest interest rates, easy to use mortgage calculators,